Special thanks to Wizard Academy, who is a proud sponsor of today's episode. Welcome to another exciting episode of Latinos Who Thrive. I'm your host, Victor Escalante, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. On this show, we celebrate the incredible stories, successes, and resilience of our Latino community. Members who are making a remarkable impact in their respective fields. Each week, we bring you the inspiring journeys of pioneers, innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, activists, and leaders who are shaping the world around us. From overcoming challenges to achieving remarkable milestones, the stories we share here are a testament to the unwavering spirit and determination within the Latino community. We delve deep into the experiences, insights, and expertise of our guests, uncovering the secrets behind their accomplishment and discovering the invaluable lessons they've learned along the way. Our goal is not only to showcase their achievements, but also to inspire and empower each and every one of you tuning in today. Through these conversations, we aim to ignite passion, drive, and a sense of pride within our community while fostering a greater understanding and appreciation for the diverse talents and contributions of Latinos worldwide. So get ready to be inspired, motivated, and uplifted as we embark on yet another transformative journey together on Latinos Who Thrive. What a great show we have for you today. Joining us today is Lex Borrero, who is the mastermind behind some of music's biggest producers, including the multi-platinum Monsters and Strangers and Latin Grammy Award-winning and Grammy Award-nominated Taney, with whom he co-founded Neon 16 in 2019. So let's get on with it. And now we have Lex Borrero. Welcome to Latinos Who Thrive, Lex.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today and share my story with you.
You have quite an inspiring story, and as I mentioned to you off the air, this is going to be a must listen to a lot of startup entrepreneurs that need to understand the entrepreneurial mindset to be able to go from nothing to being a leading industry person in the music industry. A lot of the lessons are transferable to basically any industry. So Lex, you're originally from Colombia, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. From Bogota, Colombia.
Give us the through line of how you started with nothing from very humble beginnings in the music industry.
So essentially, I was born in Bogota. My parents moved to the States in search of a better life. And then, we started with nothing. My mom, she's always been a hustler. She always figured out ways to make ends meet. And for me, coming into the U.S., I didn't know English, so that was step one. I had to go to ESOL classes and learn and figure out the dynamic of being an American. And then second, as part of that, I've always been artistic, so I always loved drawing and art, and I wanted to be an architect. I'd never thought in my life I would be in music or in film and TV how I am today. But I did know right away, very early into my years here in the U.S., that I loved Michael Jackson and I loved Michael Jordan. Like, I loved the way these two figures would impact culture, will shift the way that, people would dress, would make emotions move. I was super intrigued by that momentum or that role of being a culture changer. And, growing up in church, because my mom was also a pastor, that was one of the things that intrigued me about, what you can do to help people, right? Like that initial thought of how you can utilize yourself as a human to essentially impact people's lives. And so that's really where it started for me, where it was like, okay, I want to draw. I feel like I can speak to people. I have a message. But, I came from a place where we didn't have the money to buy certain things. And when I got to high school, I was really obsessed with hip hop and music, but not to the point where I wanted to be in the business. I didn't think about the business at first. For me, it was really about just the art. And then as I started to engage in loving a culture, like sneaker culture, and I wanted a pair of Michael Jordans, then it really started to trigger in, like, how am I going to get money? And that's when I saw this article on a magazine, and it was called the BMG Music Service. You would pay $12.99 for one CD, and they would send you 12 CDs. So I started to do that, and pretty much built a pretty big CD collection. And then I convinced my girlfriend at the time to get her parents to give her a CD burner for her birthday. And then I started burning some CDs and selling them in school and try to see, like, I started to see that I can move that. And it really, the shift came when I saw a kid rap in my school. Like, he was a pretty popular rapper in our school. And every time he would, do something during lunch hour, everybody will get around him. So I approached him and I said, hey, what if we do a song together? I don't have a microphone. I have a little computer mic that my mom uses to type because, her hands hurt. And we recorded this song and we sold it to all our classmates, and essentially made enough money to buy this pair of Jordans. And so with that pair of Jordans, I felt like, okay, there's a music business behind this. Like, I can make money in this. But I can also, like, create this change, this impact through the music. And that summer, I interned at a studio in Miami, and I learned music production. And as part of that, every day there would be artists dropping their demos and things. And I saw this artist who I thought was, sounded good. It was early, like, mix of Anglo with reggaeton music, and I felt like this was a unique sound. And I called him. I said, look, I don't know anything about the music industry, but I know how to sell. My mom has a studio in the church where we could record the music. And he agreed to let me manage him, or what I thought was management. I didn't even know what I was doing, but it was, like, I want to work with this guy, and we were partners. And we engaged in putting this music together. And at the end of the internship, I asked the studio owner, like, hey, how do I get to the people who sign artists? And he said, well, those guys are named A&Rs. I was like, okay, how do I get to the A&Rs? And he's like, well, go on the yellow pages and just call all the labels. So I went on the yellow pages and I started calling. And of course, nobody answered. And then I went into my senior year thinking, okay, I'm going to go to architecture school. I'm going to be an architect. And one day I get a phone call from this A&R at Sony Music, and he had heard my message, and he said, hey, why don't you come over tomorrow? I like your message. When I show up to the office, I'm 16 years old. I have a fro. I'm wearing, like, white Air Force Ones with pink laces, a pink shirt, and this, like, suit jacket on top. And he asked me, how old are you? I'm like, oh, I'm 16. He's like, if I knew you were 16, I would have never taken this meeting.
That's funny.
But he took the meeting, and he told me, he's like, look, the music is good, but it's too urban. We're Sony Music. We have Shakira, Gloria Estefan. Like, we have pop superstars. But I like you. Why don't you go to my friend at another company? And essentially, I went to his friend. They gave us a distribution deal, which my mom used an immigration attorney to negotiate because we didn't know there was entertainment attorneys. And that was my first distribution deal. I thought I made it. I went and bought all my CDs at FYI Music in Dolphin Mall here in Miami. And little did I know I didn't make any money. But that started to trigger the notion of, like, hey, I want to be in this business. And then, as life would have it, I got to, like, experience what it was, a little bit of touring with this artist, and left high school, started trying to make it in the music industry. And one day I saw this article in a music magazine about a beat battle in New York, like a music conference that had a beat battle. And I was like, what is a beat battle? Well, as a producer, you would play one beat, the other producer would play a beat, and then the judges would choose whose beat was better. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to go to this. Every major executive in the music industry is going to be there. And I went to New York. I took a little bit of money I had saved, bought my flight to New York with a few friends. And when I get to the conference, the organizer puts the names of all the people that made the beat battle, and my name wasn't there. So I was like, Felicia, please let me get into it. I'm going to be the best producer. I came from Miami. And she was so annoyed that she was like, kid, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to kick you out of the whole conference. Just enjoy the conference. You didn't make it. Welcome to the music industry. And I was so bummed, but I knew that, like, I was so good. I knew that I had this thing that I couldn't explain. But I went to the conference the first 2 days and, saw the executives, etc. The third day is the day of the beat battle, and she's calling all the names. And the last producer doesn't show up. I think the guy was sick or something. And I run down from the park. This is the Park Central Hotel. So I run down from the second floor to the main floor. Please, please let me join. And so she lets me join. I win the beat battle. And I get an opportunity to work in the studio with an artist and this really big executive called Russell Simmons. And that time he said, hey, listen, after the session, I told him, hey, I think you should hire me. I'm going to be the world's biggest executive. And he laughed in my face and said, that's not how it works, kid, but I like your attitude. If you get yourself to New York, I will give you an internship. And so I went back home. My mom was not having it. She said, you're either going to be a pastor or you're going to go be an architect. So I left home. I took out a credit card and I went to New York City and I started to intern. And within a couple months, I was homeless. I was couch surfing, and then I was sleeping on the 6 train. But every night, I would go to Sony Studios with my beat CD, and I would give it away, give it. And after months of being homeless in New York, I finally called my mom and said, "Mom, I need you to help me." So she put me in a church in Queens, who gave me kind of some chairs to sleep on because they didn't have beds, and unfortunately, after maybe only 2-3 weeks of being there, I forgot that it was Sunday because we had an event on a Saturday, and they didn't have a bathroom. They had like a regular bathroom with a drain, so I would have to get a cup, shower, dry the bathroom, and so I was doing that I thought that it was a Monday, and I was like doing that, and I hear a bunch of like voices outside of the door, and so when I open the door, I'm in my towel, and it's the whole congregation.
Wow.
And they kicked me out of the church. And so that Monday, I told my mom, buy me a ticket back home. So she bought me a Spirit ticket for the Thursday. And that Monday, an A&R from a company called Bad Boy Records called me and told me, hey, why don't you come over? I heard your BCD. I got it when I was outside of Sony Studios and I like what you're doing. And so I was like, brother, listen, I'm over this. Like I've been homeless for like a year. I'm going home on Thursday. And he's like, well, you waited your whole life for this. You're not going to come now? So I went, and I would always burn 23 beats in a CD because of Michael Jordan. And so he heard all 22. And when he got to 23, I was already like, okay, he doesn't like anything. But he played 23 over and over and said, I'll be right back. Took it and left. And then when he came back, he told me to go with him. We go to Studio A, and it's Diddy. And he was playing my beat, and that was my first check in the music industry, $1,500.
Wow.
And then after that, my career started, and 20 years later, here I am.
I want to back up because you brought up 2 very important principles of success. One is fall in love with what you do. The other one is that you don't do it for the money. You do it to be able to help people, or you do it to be able to have a positive impact on others. Tell us your philosophy for everything that you do. Tell us your motto.
So for me, it's 2 things. One is, it starts with purpose, right? I think as humans, we think that our purpose in life is to get rich and just be powerful, but I disagree strongly with that. I think our purpose in life is to help others, right? We're an ecosystem. So I always say the big driver for anything you want to do in life is to define what you have in you that can help others, right? Because that allows you to have a real sense of purpose beyond, because money doesn't fill you, success doesn't fill you, purpose does. I think once you have that set, and in my mind, it was always, what can I do? Like this opportunity that I have to help people make their dreams, to build them as better men or women. That was first. Second is, you got to have a clear vision. The human brain has an insane ability to solve problems, but we as humans have a horrible ability in telling it what the actual problem is. And what I mean by problem goes hand in hand with goal, right? Like if you say, I don't know, I want to get a Grammy. Well, that's your goal, but the goal has a problem, right? What's the problem? Well, nobody knows my music. Okay, so then now you have a goal and you know where it's at. But the more specific you could be, if you say, well, I want to get a Grammy for Best New Artist. So then now you know what it takes to be the best new artist. You have research. You can go down the past 10 years and say, well, these are the best, the winners or the nominees for the past 10 years. Like, what did they do differently? What kind of artists got picked? Why did they get picked? And you start obsessing yourself with the vision, and then in it, creating the solution for your goal or your problem, right? And so being very clear with your vision on what you want and being very specific helps you understand it and helps you start speaking it. And it's not just manifesting it, it's just you start speaking about it. So you start gravitating energy and you start obsessing, which is for me the third thing. You got to be obsessive. You have to, anything you want to do in life, you have to think about it all day long. You have to process the information around it all day long. You have to know it, because in knowing the information or knowing more about it and obsessing about it, you start creating something in your head that you can manipulate. You start understanding what it takes to get there. You start getting every area of it into your mind in order to make it a reality. And then last, you have to be strong level of perseverance. Like in life, no matter if you have money, success or not, nothing comes easy, right? Everything, whether it's personal or otherwise, you have to go after it. And so you have to have perseverance. You have to be able to understand that you're going to go through the ringer. You're going to go through the hardships before you get to the blessing. But having a strong sense of purpose, having a clear vision and obsessing about it gives you perseverance almost by default, because it allows you to understand you want something so bad and you're so clear about what you want it, and you're also so clear why you want it. All those things allow you to really go after it and be successful.
And that's the through line to Neon 16, of which you are president and co-founder. So Neon 16 is making waves in the entertainment industry. Give our listeners a brief overview of what Neon 16 is all about.
Yeah, so today, Neon 16 is part of a ecosystem of 3 companies, which are Entertainment Studios, our film and TV company, Neon 16, which is our music business, and AM 16, which is our agency. But the core of the business really started, 4 years ago when I got to Miami, and I had spent my whole career in music, and I really wanted to, when I got to Miami, I saw the need for a business that really was based on culture. Because I knew that the moment Latin music would become what it is today, corporate America, the TV business, brands would need a curator of that culture. And so for us, it was important that we were not just a business that was making money, but that we were culture shifters, that we were impacting culture with the way we were approaching business, creativity, the aesthetics, pushing forward things that nobody else was doing. And so that really became Neon 16, which is, a full successful music business. And from there, we expanded into film and television with Entertainment Studios with the same model. How are we impacting Hollywood? How do we change the narrative? How do we do things that nobody else was doing? And then the same thing for AM 16, which is our agency, is how do we create that through line for brands that so many times is not there? And how do we bring our culture, our understanding of how to communicate with an audience and how to tell stories into the brand agency business in order to really create a growth in how brands market to our culture. And so that became this ecosystem that we operate today, and that we have, the blessing. I have the blessing of leading some incredible people as part of it.
While I've interviewed the people within the industry that are trying to change Hollywood and to change corporate America into being more diverse and really messaging to the Latino population in a relevant way, I tend to think that you really are one of the top leaders in this area, because while others talk, I haven't seen the results. I interviewed recently the founder of Me Too, the video platform, not the Me Too movement, the Me Too, M-I and 2, the number 2, yeah, where they made funny videos. And one time, I believe they got funding for like $8 million, and now they're become a technology company. They did away with the video production. So I would tend to think that you are one of the leaders. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, Look, I think there's a lot of great creatives, but I think the main issue with the majority of, I would say, my peers, and it's not a negative thing. It's just that, everybody's focused on making money only,
Right.
right? And so, which is, listen, we're in a business. That's an important part, and it's obviously a vertical we all focus on, but that's not our intention. Our intention for our company is really to impact culture, and the result of impacting culture is that we've been financially successful. But for us, the drivers are completely different. For us, the drivers are not the mechanics of how rich can we get, but it's how do we change things? And really, it's been a blessing because we've been able to find the problems, identify that problems, and be the first to solve it. So we took on the Latin music business and started to change how people viewed music producers and songwriters by essentially breaking a producer to be bigger than the majority of the artists, like as a name, as a brand, by doing things that nobody else was doing at the time, and because we wanted to change the perception of how the world viewed Latin creators, right? Because a lot of times we're not looked as great as the other creators, and so the same thing with Hollywood. We came into film and television with the idea that we wanted to change how a family documentary looks like when we do the Montañeros, or change how a music competition looks like when we do La Firma, or the signing, as it's called in English. Like we're coming into Hollywood with an understanding of how do we want to impact culture, where do we want to put our money, so that it's not just about how do I make what I want to make only, but how do we support other creators? How do we create community? How do we create an understanding around that it's not just about Neon or our companies winning, but we want to open the door so everybody else wins. And that's really been the game changer for us, and what has allowed us to be very successful in building the brand is that we're a brand that people respect for that, for being creative, for being game changers, more than a brand that people say, oh yeah, that, those guys are making millions of dollars and they're super rich. No, it's really, people don't think of money when they think of our brand. They think of what we're doing and how crazy are the things that we do.
You're listening to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Lex Borrero. We'll be right back. Are you ready to unlock your full potential and embark on a journey of limitless knowledge and boundless creativity? Look no further than Wizard Academy, where dreams become reality. At Wizard Academy, they are not just a school, they're a community of visionaries, dreamers, and achievers. Whether you're a student, a working professional, or someone looking to reinvent yourself, Wizard Academy has a place for you. I know because I'm a graduate of the World Changers class of 2007 when I worked in print media. Imagine being guided by industry experts where innovation knows no bounds and where your passions are transformed into skills. Their cutting-edge programs span technology, business, arts, and more. You'll discover the magic within you and you wield it with confidence. At Wizard Academy, they embrace diversity and creativity, and they celebrate your unique journey. So be sure to join them in the heart of innovation, where the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Visit them at www.wizardacademy.org now to explore their lineup of courses, faculty, and the incredible success stories of this community. Your future is waiting. Unleash your inner wizard today. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Do you want to stand out from the crowd and make a lasting impression? Then look no further. Introducing the ultimate game changer, the Escalante Public Speaking Mastery Course. In today's competitive world, effective communication is the key to success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, the ability to speak confidently and persuasively is a game changer. I know, because I have lived through it. That's why the Public Speaking Mastery Course is here to unlock your full potential. The comprehensive course is designed to transform your public speaking skills from good to extraordinary. I will be guiding you through a step-by-step process, helping you overcome stage fright, craft compelling messages, and deliver impactful presentations. When I took the Dale Carnegie School of Public Speaking and Human Relations, it changed my life, and I will be able to help you do the same. My career in journalism and training and development was built on having the skills to be able to communicate to a team or thousands. I hold nothing back. I will give you all my trade secrets and how you can thrive and crush it. Imagine walking into a boardroom and captivating your audience with your powerful presence. Picture yourself confidently leading meetings, delivering persuasive pitches, and commanding attention in every interaction. With a public speaking mastery course, you'll be equipped with the skills to excel in any professional situation. If you're ready to take the step and supercharge your career, enroll in the Public Speaking Mastery course today. All the information and the cost is in the show notes. Don't let fear hold you back. Unlock your potential, elevate your career, and become a master of public speaking. Go to the show notes to register today to secure your spot in the next session of Public Speaking Mastery course. Public Speaking Mastery course, empowering professionals, transforming careers. Act now and make a lasting impression in every opportunity that comes your way. You will be glad you did, and you will thrive for the rest of your life. We now return you to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Lex Borrero. Lex, how do you balance your various roles within Neon 6 since you wear many hats, as a music producer and entrepreneur? What do you enjoy the most about the work that you do? So balance, and what do you enjoy the most?
So it's an interesting question because I don't believe in the concept of balance, right? I think balance is a fragile state because I always tell people if you put a wooden stick in the top of a bottle and you barely blow it, it's gonna fall. And life is gonna throw a lot more than that at you. So I believe in rhythm because I believe everything about us is rhythm. Our heartbeat is rhythm, how we walk, how we talk. And so I believe in finding this rhythm. And for me, it's really been about understanding how to become a CEO, right? Which is not only as an operator, but really being able to be the visionary and be able to be used in helping give the vision and then hiring incredible people who can go execute that vision. And so I find myself in a position consistently where what I really am doing is carrying the vision. I am the creative force behind the ideas that drive the company, but then I have an amazing team who goes and executes it. And that really gives me flexibility and gives me a right rhythm to handle and be creatively involved in everything that I have to while still being very effective as a business. And I enjoy, I think most of all, the part of my business that is creating, right? I think a lot of times, the title of CEO or president is kind of looked at as this corporate job where you're just pushing papers and doing all this. And for some people it is, right? When you're an entrepreneur, you're doing it all. And many years of my life, I was boggled down with the busy work and the finances and everything of a business. Now I have the blessing that I have an operation where I can be a creative, right? Where I can be the face of the company and go out in the market and speak to people like yourself, share the story, share the gospel of the business, and at the same time be the creator, come up with these amazing ideas that we do and support the talented artists and creators that we have inside the company to build their careers within our ecosystem. So I love that about my job. I love the opportunity that I get every day to change people's lives, to create impact, to see kids come from nothing to make their careers or their dreams a reality. Not only artists, but my executive team. I think we have a culture inside the company where people truly feel that they're coming to work and they're building their dreams, not just our business or just making us money, but they truly feel the progression in their lives and their personal lives, not just their work lives. So that's very important to me. And it's the part that I enjoy the most of being a leader.
I want to drill down on this because you have hit the sweet spot where you don't have to worry about finances and you can expand being at the top of the music industry's food chain. What I want to know from you is, I understand how getting on the radar of Diddy was your start. That was the door that opened up a lot of opportunity. But obviously, there's more to that. It's like, what else came before that you credit as the reasons as to why you were able to establish yourself and to escalate to the level that you have been able to do that?
Again, I think it goes back to those 4 core values of what
Got
I
it.
think
Okay.
gets you to success. Because I
Okay.
do think that for me, it was, coming from a church background, coming from kind of, having a love and a passion for the youth, allowed me to always identify the problem, right? My career has been successful because I've identified problems and I've looked at the situation and said, I could do that better.
Fair enough.
I can
Yeah.
solve this.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's really kind of the core for where it comes from.
Good deal. What trends do you see shaping the future of the industry, and how is Neon 16 positioning itself to stay ahead of the curve?
I think we're in a changing entertainment business because of culture overall, right? I think diversity in culture and inclusion has become a real conversation around all 3 of our industries, whether it's brands, whether it's music, and whether it's Hollywood. And we are positioned to win because we're very rare of an ecosystem, right? It's very rare that you meet a television company that has a very successful music company. It's very rare that you find a music company that has a very successful brand business. And it's very rare that you find a brand business that has a connection to a film and television business as well as a music company. And so it allows us to play ball in all 3 verticals while still being very efficient in moving the ball up and changing and impacting culture. So I think our positioning in the market with our 3 businesses really allows us to be very unique and have a lot of competitive advantage because we can attack any project or any idea in multitude of ways and have the team to support it.
You got the vertical integration that you control the process, and you don't have to worry about quality because it's all built into your brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Neon 16 has collaborated with some of the biggest names in the industry. Can you share with us some memorable experiences of working with artists like, is it Tiny or J Balvin and others?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, some of the most notable projects that we've been able to work on, especially in Latin music, has been doing things like, for example, during quarantine, we got to do the SpongeBob soundtrack, and we did a song called Agua with J Balvin, which became kind of the summer anthem of quarantine. But also became the first time that a major brand, SpongeBob is a global brand and Paramount Pictures is a global brand. It was the first time that they allowed a logo of a music company to be next to their logos and to utilize their IP, which is rare. These movie companies protect that IP like it's no tomorrow. So that to me was a really amazing project to work on. Also, we got to do a song during quarantine called One Day, which took me 2 years to make, but it was the perfect merge of what was happening at the moment, right? You have Bad Bunny kind of at his breaking point. You have J Balvin at the top of his career. And then you had Dua Lipa, who was, the most successful pop star at the time, collaborating in a song that had a melancholic feel, but reggaeton drums. And that to me is the very reflection of who we are as a company because it's the kind of things that we create. So, projects like that or being able to merge Adam Levine with Maluma or do collaborations that no one was expecting could be done, that's what's really made this process over the past 4 years exciting for me.
As a mentor and collaborator, how do you discover and nurture emerging talent? And what qualities do you look for in artists to collaborate with?
So I always say that there's a very big difference between talent and artistry, right? I think a lot of people can sing or rap or, or do any of those or play an instrument, but very few people have something to say. And artists are those who have something to say because great artists make music that verbalizes feelings that we all feel as an audience, but don't know how to put into words. And that's why when you put a song that you identify with, you can listen to that song over and over, and you say, this is my favorite song, but it's because an artist was able to verbalize and put into lyrics these feelings that you have that you just didn't know how to express. And that's what makes music amazing. And so for me, I look for artists. I look for people that have something that they know the why. Same thing as entrepreneurs, right? Like I look for executives who have conviction, not people who say, oh, I just want to get rich. Like, no, why? Why do you want to make it? Like, what is that thing that drives you? What's the purpose? What's the conviction? Because that's what's going to make the difference. Those are the people that you hire, and they're going to change your business overnight because they'll fight for whatever because they know what they're fighting for. There's nothing like going to war with a soldier that doesn't understand why he's at war. And so for me, people who have an intention and who have conviction and who have something to say are the people I look for to essentially, put my seed in their ground and start watering it.
Makes sense. If you don't know your why, you better find out your why so that you can message to the world what your why is, so that you can be taken seriously, and so that people buy into your why and give you business. Absolutely. So beyond music, Neon 16 has expanded into various creative ventures. Can you tell us about some of the exciting projects and innovations Neon 16 is currently involved in?
Yeah, so we are, super involved in the film and television now. I would say that's a side of our business that is super exciting to me. So we are, looking into film, looking into how to expand the footprint of Latinos in Hollywood. And then second to that, we're innovating the concept of music and sports with our agency. So we are, hosting events during Formula One. We are partners with the NFL. We really are merging those two worlds in a heavy way, and also looking into consumer product goods. So we've been blessed enough to invest in a couple of really good consumer products from drinks to popcorn to other things. And that has really allowed us to understand kind of the food business and the hospitality business. But we're always looking to innovate primarily in how to merge and communicate to our culture and continue to create a space that allows other people to walk through it and build their own dreams. So for us, those two spaces are very key right now, because it's where there's lack of representation, is where there's lack of business growth. And we think we have a strategy on how to change that over time, especially in Hollywood, right? And really give proper representation and branding to our Latino creatives, as well as in sports and in content and in music, and that merger of those two worlds. We really think we're the through line in connecting that. And so we've been very impactful in, for example, in what we do in Formula One with our events, and very impactful in creating the Latino campaign for the NFL.
Okay. You mentioned briefly previously the show of the Ricardo Montaner. Let's do a deep dive into that. This is a show that is it currently streaming on Disney or about to?
Yeah, it's the season 1 is streaming on Disney Plus right now, and we're in production right now for season 2.
Talk to us about how that came about.
This show really started because in quarantine, the Montaner family, started to become very, very viral. They had all these moments. Camilo, who's, the son-in-law of Ricardo, became the world's biggest pop star at that time. And with it, the whole family really became kind of an online sensation. But knowing the family personally, what I found really interesting is that they were not your typical famous family, right? They were not focused on these things about fame. They just had this way of being together and really being honest with each other and going through it. And they were in a position and a time in their lives where they were going through a lot of changes. The kids were getting married, others were having babies. Ricardo was kind of in the midst of figuring out what he wanted to do in his career moving forward. So when I approached them about doing this, they had been filming by themselves. Like Ricardo has been filming since he started his career. He always wanted one day to have a show, and they just hadn't been able to pull it off. And so we had all this archival footage that Ricardo has shot, plus, everything that was going on with the family. And we truly felt that we wanted to shoot this as a music documentary. We didn't want it to be the Kardashians, kind of this super fast-paced edit with just drama, kind of scripted. We we wanted this to feel like you're really going into their house and you're watching this family who has this beautiful essence of unity, and so many things to teach us as humans. I wanted you to capture that. But I also, if you didn't know who Ricardo Montaner was and his family, I wanted you to get a sense of who they were by utilizing this archival footage and truly these emotional moments that footage allows you to do, because you're essentially doing a documentary about the family. And so that's how that came. And, thankfully it's been award-winning. It became their #1 show, and we're going into season 2 now.
Congratulations. That is quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
The intersection of technology and music is fascinating space. How do you see technology influencing creation and consumption of music in the coming years?
It's very interesting. It's one of those things where there's too much of everything, right? So the value of everything has gone down. The value of content and music has gone down. And it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves, because the power is now in the artist's hands. The labels no longer have any power. No one has a strategy on how to break a song. It's really consistency and finding a personal way to connect. So I think for music, we're going to start seeing more and more of just independent artists finding their own way and having success and really telling their own narrative. And I think we're going to see the demise of record labels. We're going to see them become distribution companies and no longer these very powerful record labels that make superstars, because they lost the power. They don't control anything, right? They don't control the outlets anymore. They don't control, they used to be a bank, but now everybody's a bank. So the creative force inside the company, most artists are turning in their music to the label already done. So the A&Rs are not as effective as they once were. So it's a changing of the tide. I really feel that the powerful music label system, I think in the next 10 years will collapse and they'll just become distribution companies.
Very interesting foresight. And I think that you are right on track with that assessment. I come from the radio industry, and again, everybody is a podcaster nowadays, because the entry point is so low that anyone who has the burning desire and passion to do something and to just keep getting better at it, you can have an international following with just grit.
Exactly. Again, it's amazing because it's allowed things like what we're doing right here to happen, and it creates a platform for so many people that before just didn't have the opportunity because it was behind some, brick wall that the companies own.
In the old days, we had to have our people contact your people, and your people had to contact us and negotiate back and forth, to where now with one email, boom, you're done.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of positive things that has happened. There's also, the collapse of corporations that have handled this. So it's interesting because, again, it's now more than ever, people have to truly trust that their narrative is going to capture people, because the audience will tell you if it's going to work or not very quickly.
That's for sure. Lex, looking back at your journey, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and creatives who are looking to make their mark in the industry over and above what you've already told us?
Enjoy the journey.
Okay.
Enjoy the journey. I think, so many times, especially with our new society where we look at Instagram and now we compare ourselves to everybody every day, you tend to lose sight of the blessing in front of you. And that starts to fog your path. And I think the more you are aware of where you are, you're conscious of where you are, you accept where you are with the understanding that you have a plan to move forward, but you're gracious for where you are, right? You're thankful for where you are. You enjoy that. Hey, today you're eating a burger and tomorrow you might be eating a filet mignon. It's okay. Enjoy the burger now, because when you're eating a filet mignon, you're going to realize you haven't eaten a burger in a long time, and you're going to look back into those moments and say, wow, I remember that moment and it was so great. And when all I had was money to buy McDonald's, but damn, I enjoyed that McDonald's so good, enjoy that moment, take it in, because life passes by really quickly. Success, it's like a rubber band. You pull, and when it goes, it happens so quickly and everything goes so fast, and you don't take a moment to enjoy those seconds and those moments. that later on you look back and you reminisce on this, and you realize how good of the time those were because they made you who you are. So I always say when they ask me that question is enjoy the process. The more you enjoy, the more grateful you'll be, the more perseverance you'll get, the more clarity you'll get to move forward.
That's for sure, because happiness is not at the end. Happiness is along the journey. When you hit the sweet spot at the end of a project that is highly successful, that's just the icing on the cake. It's like you enjoyed it all along. Otherwise, as you've said, just like Stephen King, when he first hit his success with his first novel, he was depressed at the end because he didn't enjoy the writing process along the way. And he learned that lesson quickly after the first book.
Exactly.
On a personal note, what drives and inspires you on a day-to-day basis, and how do you stay motivated in such a dynamic and fast-paced industry? Like you mentioned, the rubber band.
Yeah. I'm motivated by problem solving. I think that's exciting every time that I find something that's a new challenge, or that I think no one is paying attention to, and I could do it better. That really motivates me. It drives me. I'm a father, so thinking about my daughter's future and what kind of life experience I want to give her, it's a huge motivation. And last, and I think most importantly, it's really I'm in a blessed position to not make money because, a lot of people can make money in different ways, but to be in a position where I can truly be of change to people. I can be a fire starter to people and their dreams and their aspirations. And that's amazing because there's no better legacy than looking at a person who you met a year ago and then seeing them a year later and be like, they're a whole new person, way driven. Their dreams have become a reality. Like those changes are the ones that you look back and say, wow, that's my legacy. Like people can take away the money, tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So all this could be gone. All the success could be gone. But the changes you made on people, that's going to continue with their lives. And that's really my big driving force.
Absolutely. And we're going to follow your trajectory and have you back to look back at today's interview of just how far you've gone.
I would love that.
It's been a pleasure having you, Lex, from Neon 16 on the show today. Thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with us. Before we wrap up, is there anything exciting on the horizon for Neon 16 that our listeners should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, our film and television projects, Montaner Season 2 is coming. We have a lot of really great film projects and things to watch for. And most importantly, our continuous drive to be culture changers. So, any time that anybody has a great idea, we want to hear it. So I hope, all your listeners, as they're getting inspired, as they're thinking about what they're going to do moving forward, they reach out to us and we could be a platform to help their dreams come true.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it, friends. Until next week, go out and thrive.